there's three ways that I've been able to make money as a street photographer. Now, when I'm talking about money, I'm not talking about money. Like, I'm not here like saying like, yo, I have tens of thousands of dollars from street photography. But just to make some extra cash through your street photography, I definitely think it's possible. Prints is the first way that I started making money with my street photography. Early on, my good friends Louie and Cooj, they have their own business called the Daily Note, and they were doing events. And this is when I first just started doing street photography. And they hit me up one day and they were like, you should come by and sell some of your prints at our next event. And that's something that I've been wanting to do. I knew it was gonna happen eventually, so when they just gave me this opportunity, it was like, all right, this is a no-brainer. Like, as nervous as it makes me, I have to take advantage of this opportunity. And, I learned a lot that first experience because just putting myself out there and having people come up to my work and kind of in real time look at their reactions to my work was like was very new to me at the time, especially with somebody who was as self-conscious as I was. So it was like I had to just kind of swallow it up when people didn't seem to really fuck with it. Like, I remember I remember one time this person was she was very kind and she was supporting a lot, and she was like saying that she really likes my work, and I thought highly of the things that her and her people do. And she was like, oh, she wants to buy one, and it was like 1 for 15 or 2 for 20, and she was with her partner, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna get one. She's like, oh, get one. So you could. She's like, they're only 2 for 20, and he's like, looks around, and he's like, nah, I'm all set. Like, but it's funny. It's funny because it doesn't really matter because nobody has to like your work, and that's fine too. I think being there in real time also gives you tougher skin and knowing that it's okay for people not to connect with your work, especially at that time. This was like earlier in my photography journey. So, but selling my work that day was the first time that I really made money through my street photography, and it felt like such a game changer at the time. And I've tried to do it online multiple times. The majority of the times I do fail. Like, I would not lie about that. I've had so many times where I'm just like, big print sale, and they're cheaper or whatever, and I'm just selling all these things, and sometimes it just does not click, or people just do not care, and that's okay too. You kind of have to swallow it up. There's a few times that I've succeeded pretty strongly, and then I just think if I keep selling the same work, after a certain time, people just don't care anymore. And I also think depending on the time, there's a lot of variables that go into that, but. So I've learned that selling it in person is always like the best way to connect with your customer, I guess. And so if you get the opportunity to do like markets or something like that, I think that could go a really long way. When I did my first big market, it's called the Providence Flea, that shit changed things for me. At least for me, like even with my confidence, even with me connecting with people, because this was like a really big event that happens in downtown. And they do it in the summertime, so we do it outside, and it's just like a ton of different vendors that are there. So when people connected with my work like really strongly, I had like canvases. I was buying canvases from this website called Canvas. I think it's called Canvas Champ. I don't use them anymore just because I found another website that has much better quality. But this is a very good website because they sell their canvas for really cheap, and they have it like they do it like on wood. Like it's a little bit different, but it's more than enough for when you're getting started. And I just felt like I sold a lot of work that first day. I made so many connections off of just meeting people and people saying that they're gonna reach out to me because maybe they saw a print that they like, or if they see something on my Instagram that they might wanna get printed. And I've done a lot of sales through that, especially that, once again, those first like few months, it felt really good. I won't lie to you, it felt really good. And it feels good when people connect with your work to the point that they wanna hang it in their house. One time I had somebody buy a print that was going to cover an entire wall. I think it was like 55 inches. And it was like from a photo that I thought that was one of the best photos that I've ever taken. So when somebody else connected with it and was just like, I need that to cover my wall, I was like, that's fire. Like, that was amazing. So prints is the first avenue that I found to make money through street photography. The second one was books or zines, whichever one you want to go for. I did my first book back in late 2021. It's still one of my favorite things that I have ever accomplished by a long shot. I hold the book very close to me. I've been grateful that it was received very well. People really connected with it. I initially ordered 100 copies and I sold that in a few days, and then I ordered another 100 copies, and it took me a few years to sell that other 100 copies. But I ended up selling the rest of the books. So it's like people really connected with it in that sense. And when I released the book, it was right before the holidays too. So when I did my event, it was with my friend Winslow and Nathan, and we crushed it. Like, I swear it was, to this day, one of the most successful events I've ever had. By far. I just think it was a mixture of I think it was like a year after COVID. So people were just starting to come out a lot more. And this was December. This was a week and a half, 2 weeks before Christmas. So people were just wanting to buy it, and people were excited to want to purchase this book. And then because of that, I had other photographers that was selling their work, and we all just crushed it, man. We killed it. So that's another way. That's a much bigger project though. Like it took me a few months. It took me years to get to the point where I felt that my work was good enough to be put in a book. But it took me, months creating this book. And I had to, you have to find ways to really kind of get after it. I kept telling myself, don't give myself a deadline because I just want to create something the best that I can. But then I realized that that was wrong. Like I needed a deadline because I needed something to tell me you have to be finished by this, because it's never going to be finished if you allow yourself to just keep doing it. So I did the book. I did a zine 3 years later. The zine went well. It didn't go as well as the book did for multiple reasons, but that's a whole nother story. But I still am very proud of the zine, and it's gonna help me immensely for the next zine that I do and the next book that I do. So selling books and zines are another way that you can make money through street photography. And the third one might not sound like it makes sense, but shooting events is another way that I make money through street photography. Now, event is not street photography, but my skills that I've gotten through my street photography, I've been able to apply that to event photography. I think a lot of times, just like in the streets, a lot of times when I'm doing these events, it's just about capturing the moment, finding good composition, finding, it's like a mixture of everything. I do street portraits, so it's like street portraits as well, because I'm asking people for portraits. And it's learning to go up to people and speak to strangers and learning to document stuff and learning to be a fly in the wall just like you are on the streets. It is, to me, some of the most fun that I've had through photography. And I think that street photography has allowed me to sharpen that skill a lot. And I think without street photography, I would have never been able to approach my event photography the way I do. I think I just love documenting things that are just happening without me having to, tell people what to do. That's why I do concert photography, because it's the same concept where they're just up there performing and I'm here trying to capture a moment. And so once again, I'm not talking about big money, even though I'm sure you could turn some of these things into big money. There's people, I'm sure a bunch of you guys are much smarter than me and much more business savvy, and you could figure it out in a better way. But if you want to just start making some type of money with street photography, I think considering one of these things could possibly go a long way. So good luck, guys. Peace.